especially for those of you that have not seen the movie before. We have some very special guests now for our conversation. First, as I told you, the incomparable, the singular, from the mind, and the wonderful imagination. Please join me in welcoming the director, writer, producer, and editor of Mysterious Skin. Performances in this movie. Please join me in welcoming a founding member and friend of Vidiots, Gordon-Levitt. This is for Araki.
Oh, okay.
We can also do some trivia. I know you're making a trivia, Gregg. But we can go back and forth.
Okay.
I want the audience to show our special guests, because they weren't here at the beginning, who had never seen Mysterious Skin before. Raise your hand.
Whoa.
Look at what you're doing. I love this.
No, it's interesting because when we did Doom Generation Nowhere, same thing. A lot of new people. It's like, and how do you even know this?
You're going to start hearing from the audience.
Yeah.
You know what you got?
But you're saying, look at what we're doing, look at what Vidiots is doing. It's really
No, it's very, I apologize because I'm not a giant press for movies, so.
I want your text checked out.
It's like I'm amazed at, because it's like the big story now that like Gen Z is the future of cinema. Like young people trying out movies, going out to movies with their friends, and just sort of building film culture up in from the ground floor up. It's like so important. So thank you to all the Gen Z people and all the older people too. That have a house and then see a movie.
I know. It's all, I think it to me feels like a cycle, right? We have to get people back to the audience, back to the theater so that they fall in love with the experience of what they're seeing. So let's go back in time then, speaking of when you were young. You've made your Teen Apocalypse trilogy. You're like, okay, I'm making my next movie. How did you come across this story?
Well, in between the Teen Apocalypse trilogy and this movie, I made Splendor at the same time, and then broke up with my girlfriend. And this project had actually been floating around since it was sent to me in galleries before it was even published. I think it was published in the 90s.
Okay.
So it had come around and around and around. I think I passed on it 4 times. I read the book before it came out, and I was just so moved by it.
Scott's book, we have it right here, signed by both Gregg and Joe for some very special
This
guests.
is the new edition of this edition that just got reprinted.
And Scott wrote a new forward to it.
And there's a new forward.
Yeah.
And signed by Joe Gordon-Levitt.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's coming back. Also, the soundtrack is finally coming out on 480 Records.
Yes.
Woo! Because the soundtrack by Harold Blood and Ron Guthrie has been out of print for decades, or 20 years, and it goes for $300, $400 on eBay. So there will now be a vinyl version coming out this summer.
Can I just say something about the soundtrack though? Because the script for Mysterious Skin was an unusual script for many reasons. But beyond even like the story in the film itself, just the way that Gregg wrote the script. First of all, it's maybe the only script I've ever received from a serious filmmaker that was not written in Courier font.
But also, producers don't like it because it's smaller than Courier font, so the page count is wrong. Because when you make a movie, it's like you're shooting four pages, 4.5 pages, 5 pages. But when you do something like the pages are actually condensed, so you're actually shooting more.
Anarchy. Just
More.
anarchy.
But another thing that was unusual about this script was it had very specific needle drop cues. It had very specific songs in it. And that happens sometimes. You'll read scripts sometimes where screenwriters are like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if, like, you know.
I'm sure, did 500 Days of Summer have needle drops? The song sounds very.
I think, well, that's actually, to be honest, a decent example. There are plenty of scripts that have needle drops. Like, in fact, in 500 Days of Summer, the karaoke machine, karaoke scene that it did, it was written that I'm singing a Rolling Stones song. But it didn't sing a Rolling Stones song, it ended up being a Pixies song, right? Because usually when there are needle drops in a screenplay, they're just wrong. So you just disregard them. They're like, obviously that's not going to be the thing.
Right.
But in Gregg's script, it was all of them. It was Slow Dive, it was whatever it was, Roxy Music, it was Cocktail Twins. It was like all of the needle drops that are actually in the movie were in the script. Because the way that he makes movies is he can watch it before he makes it. I remember this distinctly, over and over again. I'd come up to you and ask you a question, and you'd go like, and then answer the question. And it's because he was watching the movie. He has the whole thing in his head. That's why he writes it and cuts it and can put all the needle drops in it. He has the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh,
So
beautiful.
you can tell that. So it's cool. I didn't know the soundtrack was coming out. I want to have that.
Okay, so
Anyway,
take
so
us to.
I was saying, I passed it a bunch of times. It wasn't until in '99, I think, maybe it was 2000, I did this MTV pilot, and in that I was sort of playing POV a lot and direct camera eye lines, and it's actually a trick that Jonathan Demme was talking about in relation to Silence of the Lambs. And so I started playing around with editorial POV and the way people are looking in the camera, and you see what they see. And it was only then that I figured out, like, oh, maybe there's a way to shoot. Because I didn't want to do the movie because there was no way to shoot kids stuff. And the kids stuff was such an important part of the story.
You mean the kids stuff just in terms of like not causing any
the
like.
kids stuff, the little kids.
Yes,
All
but I
the-
mean in terms of like, we're talking about in terms of like exposing them to maybe the trauma of
Yeah,
seeing.
and I mean, that's to me what was, I mean, it's even more intense in the book, but those scenes are so intense. And it was literally like, I didn't want to make this sort of TV movie version where it's like, the kids are scared and the door closes. Like, I really, the experience of those scenes was very important to me because that was a huge part of the book for me and why it was so impactful. So it wasn't really to like figure out how to shoot those scenes, and for filmmakers in the audience or editors, they know how to you know, the kids don't really do anything. They literally were in a different movie and sort of playing a different scene, particularly with the coach. And so we would shoot their half, and then we shoot Bill Sager's half, and then in editing sort of put them together.
Right.
So
You even had a different script for
yeah,
that.
the kids had like a kid script that the kids were kind of blissfully sort of unaware of what was going on. There was a whole story about like why they were doing what they were doing. Yeah,
That actually meant a lot to me at the time. I was an actor when I was those kids' age. I've been doing this since I was 6 years old, and seeing the care that you put into making sure that this was a positive experience, and in no way were they coming into contact with the horrors of what this story was really about.
Right.
That you went to such great lengths to make sure that was all really all good for them. I remember that meaning a lot to me at the time, and now as a dad, it means even more.
yeah, it was. I mean, it was very also. You know, Mary Jane Scott's the producer was very instrumental in helping. She has a very kind of Cub Scout mom kind of energy.
She does, Mary
She's
Jane,
from
yeah.
the Midwest, so it's helpful to make the parents feel safe and everybody feel safe. But yeah, the kids were funny. They had a really. We shot in summer. They had the best time. They were all eating free candy and didn't be started a movie, so they were blissfully kind of aware of the dark stuff going on.
And now they've grown up 4 years later, and they're like, I'm in this incredible movie that's also devastating. Okay, but then, so now you decided to take on the script because you then learned essentially a new set of tools. Is that kind of what you're saying? Maybe I'm.
I just, it was like just an editorial strategy to figure out how to do it, and then once I figured that out, that's when I sort of dove into adapting the script.
So to Joe's comment about the music cues, and you kind of, his way of seeing how you directed, do you also see yourself, is that how you approach this movie? Like, I did write all the music, kind of, it's complementing.
It's kind of
what
how
you
I
said.
work on in general. Like I just see the movie in my head as I'm writing it. That's just my thing. The other thing about Mr. Skin that for people who get to read the book, if you don't read one tonight, you can go buy one because it's a fantastic book and it really is in a way kind of deeper than the movie because it goes a little bit deeper in all the characters. And interestingly, it's told from like 4 points of view.
Right.
There's like Lee's point of view and Eric's point of view. Like it's like
In first person.
Yeah.
In all the different
Yeah, it's like
ones.
everybody's diary, like Wendy's diary, Eric's diary of these characters. And yeah, it's a super, super beautiful, interesting book. But the thing about the book and why Mysterious Skin was such a fit for me is like Scott's younger than me, but we're very similar in the sense that we have very similar musical tastes, very similar sort of artistic tastes. He's, you know, queer. So he was really into like Slow Down and Cognitive Twins and all that music, and he would actually listen to that music while he was writing the book. So I think that was very much ingrained in the actual book itself. So that kind of dreamlike, poetic kind of. The interesting thing about Mr. Skin is it's so sort of harrowing, nightmarish, but it's so beautiful and gorgeous, and so much of that comes from music. It's really that kind of dreamy, sort of beautiful tone really is all in music and very much embedded in the writing as well.
Absolutely. So then you had to, the kids aside, but then you had to cast your Neil and Brian and these characters that really come to life. Tell us about casting Joe in this role. And Joe, you're laughing based on this story.
Tell us about casting Joe. Shannon King, I don't know if she's here or not. She was the casting director.
Shannon's not here, is she?
She's been to screen, but I don't think she's here tonight.
I haven't seen Shannon in a long time.
Shannon McCann, the cast director of this movie, cast me in Mysterious Skin, and then the same year cast me in Brick.
She did Brick.
Yeah.
I was feel like this kind of counterpart to each other, like you taking a bit of a break and then coming back and having these very, kind of these characters that have very deep inner lives.
Yeah. Wait, you did Brick right after?
Right after,
Yeah,
same year.
it was like
Yeah, 2003. We shot in the summer and we shot Brick in the fall.
Was Brick, Mr. Skin, and also
Yeah.
that
Havoc. Yes.
What?
Havoc.
Oh,
I shot
no,
the preview
Havoc,
design.
no, Havoc, but also Ken Shan was working on that Tenderness of the Heart, or what was that, the author who turned out to be a fraud. Help me out here. The one who was like the transgender hustler that wrote a book.
Oh.
Heart is Deceitful, that one. Heart is Deceitful too. Was that at the same time?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they all.
So this has to.
Well, this is a funny thing actually. I auditioned for both of these roles.
Brian and Neil.
Yeah, because I remember reading the script and not knowing which one I was more suitable for,
Okay.
actually. Because at that time, no one had ever thought of me as that kind of character.
Right.
As like, oh, he's like desirable, that kind of like no. I was like the nerdy kid from Third Rock from the Sun. Like that's no one ever thought that.
Nerdy kid.
I don't know. No, but because
There's a lot of memes that are like that.
I grew up on that, like making that sitcom and loving it. Like I really, really loved that show and the people on that show were like family to me. But while I was shooting that show, on the weekends, I would go to Sunset 5. Anybody remember Sunset 5? And that was, it was a little like this place, but back a longer time ago. And they would play movies that were like mostly coming out of Sundance.
Right.
And all I wanted to do was act in movies like that.
Yeah.
Like Sling Blade or Trees Lounge or Big Night or these kinds of movies. And the bigger ones were like Swingers or The Usual Suspects or and then of course Tarantino movies. That's all I wanted to do, and no one had any confidence that I would be able to do that at all. I would try to tell like the agents and stuff that I was working with, that that's what I wanted to do, and they were like, that's
Sweet.
and then for a while, after that show, I quit acting for like a year, and I went to college, and I knew I wanted to start acting again, and no one would hire me. And all because I would just audition for these kinds of movies and was getting nowhere. And then,
This comes along.
yeah, and it really changed my life. It changed everything. The fact that you thought that I could do stuff like this. Yeah.
Hope I got embarrassed with this. I think I've told this story before, but Mysterious King premiered in Venice, the world premiere, and I remember. Do you remember this with the Polaroid?
Yeah.
Joe had went out and bought like a helmet-length suit for the premiere.
Right. I never bought a suit before.
I
Yeah.
know. So you were showing in this helmet-length suit, and you're very dapper, and you took these giant Polaroids of like the cast, and they took pictures of us as they do in Venice and Indie Festival. And I remember you looking at your own Polaroid and like literally like, I'm a movie star. It was such a beautiful moment. You see yourself for the first time, like seeing yourself like as this kind of like leading man, like a movie star, because you were. Like it was kind of I thought it was super beautiful. It wasn't in an egotistical way. It was just like this moment of like realization.
Here's what I actually remember about those Polaroids.
I wonder what the art is. Is it like 6?
I would love to see those.
Yeah.
It was actually a really incredible experience. Like this is, I'm going to talk about something very else, about sort of the creative process of photography. Because especially now, we all use digital cameras, so it's all about like just take lots and hope, and then you go back and you see. You don't shoot like with intention. You just kind of and then you edit it later.
Right.
And retouch it.
Right. So this Polaroid camera though, it was massive. It was like the negatives were these huge things, and they were, each one was expensive. Like to push the button once was expensive.
Right.
And the guy had this camera set up at the Venice Film Festival, and the different people from the movies would come, and he would set up the camera, set up the light, and then you'd sit down, set up the camera, set up the light, and then he'd come around and sit and hold this button and like talk to you for a while,
Yeah.
however long it took.
Yeah.
And he wasn't taking pictures, he was just talking to you. And then at some point, he would push the button once. And then it took like a day to develop these massive photos.
Yeah.
And then you would come back the next day and see what they look like. And so this moment that you were thinking, I was thinking, I'm a movie star. It wasn't. What I was thinking was, this is so incredible that the way this guy has taken this photo. Really, I'm not just being.
But you were a movie star.
Thank you. It was just really notable, and I find that really inspiring. It's something I feel like all of us, I bet a lot of you are like photographers, filmmakers, or whatever. Like, the editing is great. I love editing. I'm in the middle of editing a movie right now, but there's no comparison to being really careful and intentional about the moment that you're rolling, or that you actually hit the button, and it's something you often forget nowadays. So anyway, that's what I remember about it.
And first of all,
I like
I
my
appreciate
stories.
And both stories are great. And what I will say is actually just tying it together with something I love. It was Joe, you even saying like, I wanted to be in a movie like that, and then Gregg telling the story of you then looking at yourself in that movie. To me, just like what a beautiful first full circle moment. So
and then Sundance. Joe's in 2.
That's right. Wow, that's Sundance 2005. Great and seriously.
My goodness. Okay, because I feel like we all want to know, and you're both going to have a version of this question. What is a Gregg Araki set like? And what was this set like?
Just a party. It was a really, it's funny, it was a very joyful set.
It was really easy going. Yeah.
Except for the day we were doing the race scene. That was not fun.
No, that was not. That was not at all. That was
That
not
was
easy going.
intense. That was an intense day. But for the most part, you know, it was 23, 24 days.
Okay.
And it was just the kids were there, they were having a blast. It was, when I saw Mary Jane, when we did our New York screening, we were talking about it. Cause this is really like under $1 million, like $1 million. It was fucking so low budget. Like half the crew were like interns and stuff. And it was kind of incredible when I think about it. Like we were talking about it, it's like we shot in 35, it was period, had little kids, like all the things you should not do on a low budget movie. We did. Like
There was no other option besides 35 at that point.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah,
16. Like there weren't digital cameras.
2003, but yeah, it was nuts, the stuff that we did. And also we shot in like basically now. It was broiling hot.
Yeah, yeah.
So the scene where Joe's wearing the hat and the jacket.
True.
It was like 115.
Yeah. Shy in the valley.
Yeah. So that's one of the things actually that was so fun when we were doing remasters. Like, we got to like really get in there and like tweak the colors and like make it cold, make it winter. You know what I mean? And like kill all the plants and like kill all the traces of the valley summer that we shot. So we did tons of stuff like that.
And then for you, Joe, it sounds like your reading was like a fun set, but do you like, when I asked that question again, there were a lot of fans of your work, and your work continues to, Gregg, inspire, I think, audiences, obviously, as we were just talking about. We do want to know, like, what is it like being like Gregg Araki set?
I think it's easy going on a set when the director has a lot of confidence. And there's of course a difference between confidence and like narrow-minded attachment to one's own ideas.
Right.
But confidence that's what I was talking about. Like he could watch the movie in his head, and when that's the case, there's not that much to worry about because you've got a leader who knows what they're doing and knows that it's good, so everyone feels good because you're just like, yeah, we're all doing it right. Sets get stressful when it feels like you don't quite know if it's what's happening or if it's working. That's, in my experience, when sets everyone starts getting irritable with each other, etc. So I think it's really a tribute to you and your confidence as an artist.
I'm also one of those directors that tribute to Joe and the cast. I'm one of those directors directing 99% cast. So the casting process is this one took forever. I mean, we had so many sessions, we saw so many people, and I'm super picky and super like, I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it, I'm not feeling it. And then when we finally get it, it's like, this is it. You know what I mean? So once I had you and Brady and everybody else, that was the hardest part, was getting you guys, and then the easy part was just watching you work. You know what I mean? Like you guys really brought so much to set, and it wasn't. We were just talking about this at the casting screen, and it was like I don't even remember like the couch scene at the end. I don't even remember vlogging that with you guys. I just feel like it just kind of happened in front of the camera. It was so weird. Like I don't like him, like Brady laying in your lap and all this stuff that kind of happens. That seems so beautiful. It just kind of happened very organically, and I think that's again a testament to you guys and how great you are. Because I just really, as a director, once you have the right people, your job is just put the camera in the right place and make sure you get the stuff you need, like shot wise. But yeah, when the actors, you know, it's just such a joy to watch them just go and create these amazing characters.
Absolutely. And for you, that experience, Joe, I mean, we referenced a very devastating scene that happened towards the end of the movie. I'm curious about two moments. It's one is like you.
I want to ask the audience quickly, sorry to interrupt. I'm always on the fence if I should give a trigger warning or not. Because I remember when we were remastering the movie, I was shocked by it. I was just like, oh my god. like especially when he like spits on your face and stuff. And Joe was being method act like, oh, we have, you know, whatever, they spit in the straw or whatever. He goes, no, I'm gonna spit on you. I was like, okay. Like, so it's intense. And I remember I had not seen it for years when we were mastering it.
Yeah.
And I'm always on the fence of, because they don't have scenes like that in movies anymore. You know what I mean? Like, in,
I agree. I think that's why it's important
sexual
to
assault
see
was,
movies like this.
yeah, sexual assault was a very common theme. Somebody's, so I'm always on the fence if I should give, because I don't want to give anything away, but I also don't, you know, the audiences would say aren't used to something like that. Okay, here's a comment, two comments.
Is it a comment or a question, or what are we raising your hand for? Because you're doing
Oh, no, I was just, because the thing is, for me, my experience was no trigger warning. So that to me is very effective. And the thing is, you give enough interviews and you say, like, people shouldn't be having more sex, people like, you know, let's bring it back, you know, Netflix and chill is too chill. So I just think that, like, for me personally, I like this element of surprise. It's hard, and it's dark, but it's something that does happen.
Well, yeah,
It's very human. I said that kind of at the beginning.
I mean, it's not gratuitous, it's definitely a major part of the story, but I know that audiences are a little more tentative to it. So I'm always on the fence and don't usually do it because I don't want to give too much away. But,
Well, so then
and
getting
sorry
to
to interrupt the question.
No, it's fine. As rather than maybe gearing up for the scene, this is like a very intense moment in the film. You know what's happening. And I'm curious about you, Joe, feeling, you know, kind of getting towards that scene, what that was like. And but I'm more interested, what you mentioned is the braiding you scene at the end is so, there's like this catharsis and release, and it's the first time we see you two together. I'm just curious if you could talk about you and your process of getting to those two moments.
Yeah, Brady and I have stayed close, and I mean, he's such an incredible artist. It was readily apparent how radiantly talented he was even then. And by the way, you know, when we made this movie, we were both playing 18-year-olds. I was 22, and he was 14. Yeah, he's 14.
Yeah, it's like a school teacher, like a little kid.
Yeah, he's 14 playing 18.
What?
Yeah.
I remember when I told Brady audition or whatever, I said, this book is a little bit intense for someone who's at your age. And he's all, I read this book when I was fucking 9. Brady's always been like that.
Yeah.
He's always been like that. Sorry, he literally said that.
But we really hit it off, and yet didn't spend much time together because we didn't have scenes together other than the very end. And I think to some degree we were like, we were sort of leaning into the fact that we were both intrigued to know each other, but didn't really get to know each other much. I think before we actually shot that scene, we had spent like one day hanging out and talking. And so other than that, we were still kind of really new to each other. And then of course doing that scene, it was like, okay, finally, all of this is coming together. And I remember the way that you described it. It happened really naturally with very little, I don't know, intention or something. It reminds me of like, when I was preparing for this movie, I did it a lot. I can be, like if I'm excited about something, I go really, really hard at it. It's kind of the way that I don't know, grew up or something. But I read the book and over again, and it had like different colored underlines and notes. And I went to Kansas with Scott Heim, who wrote the book, and like so focused on like what I was gonna do. And thinking about it.
You went to a lot of places too, right?
That's right, because he wrote about where he grew up. So he took me there. I stayed with his mom, stayed with his sister, went to like the baseball diamond where he played Little League, which is what he was writing about. He's a baseball coach. And I remember the first time we sat down to like rehearse, and I kind of launched into who the fuck knows what I was saying. Some like overwrought, overthought diatribe about whatever. And you listened you were like very validating and receptive, but you also were like, I don't think you want to think about this too hard. And that was not what I expected you to say. And I took it seriously though. And the rest of the time I was like, yeah, you're right. He wasn't saying that for no reason. The character doesn't think too hard. he's doing. And so, shooting this movie, I was very kind of moment to moment. I listened to a lot of music and smoked a lot of cigarettes and just came and did the scenes without
I
thinking
just
about
knew that
it.
you were right. Yeah, I mean, I just knew that you were it. Like, I didn't have any insecurity or any doubt. I just knew that you were just gonna do it.
That's the confidence that
I had confidence, but I had confidence in you. Yeah.
That's, I guess, just wrapping this up, like, again, this beautiful collaboration, seeing you two kind of talking through this. And I just want to go back, I don't want to be flippant or around like sexual assault and what you're talking about with the trigger warning, but I'm also like very thankful that you approach and tackle subjects that are very intense and provocative and taboo, so to speak. It allows us into certain things and feel certain ways. And again, especially in this movie where the focus is on the two young boys and the effect of that, like what I meant to say is just something about it is so human to have these, sitting with this discomfort and empathy. It's really remarkable, and again, as a testament to your work, but then also the way you carried yourself in the film. Like again, you would just connect so deeply with both Gregg and your roles in this movie.
Thank you.
I want to ask one more question, and then we're gonna give away some books, and we gotta turn around the house really quick.
Can I just say one thing before we go to the home stretch? I just
Go
want to
ahead.
mention Michelle because
Yes.
Yeah, I remember when we were doing Remaster. I mean, this movie's tough in some ways. It's a tough movie because it's in a way it's such a movie about loss, and the sort of shocking loss of Michelle. Harold Bell passed away during COVID. Billy Drago also passed away. So it's really seeing this movie again when we were doing Remaster was very, very moving and kind of heartbreaking because, as I said, you're just kind of about like loss of innocence, and. When you see Michelle's face, and she's so radiant, and it's just kind of so crushing.
Well, we're so thankful too that she's, again, like in this film, she
Well,
truly is
that's the joy of movies, like, you're immortal, they live forever.
Absolutely.
As long as there's movies.
Well, then that maybe leads me to a broader question about what it's been like for you to revisit this work. And you're now exposing whole new audiences to Mysterious Skin again. What does it feel like for each of you?
For me,
Yeah.
I'm thrilled. I was really happy to do this remaster. We just really, it was because we had just done Doom Nowhere as well. But this movie was even more intense in terms of the stuff we did. We went back to the original negative. The other movies were just in a positive. And I was able to just basically remake every shot, like relight things, reframe things. Like there's so many things in Mysterious Skin that, I love the movie. Obviously, it's so near to me, but like technical things that always bug me about it, and I were able to go in and fix all of it, and it made me very happy. So I just honestly, the remasters for me of all the movies, I'm just happy that there's a copy of the movie that I feel good about. So when I'm dead and gone, and people go, "Oh, Gregg made these movies. Let's go back and look at them." At least they'll be looking at this. Especially this, it's funny. I do remember the copies of this were horrifically bad. They were like bootlegs off the internet or whatever, and they were so terrible. This movie I always thought was okay, but then when we were remastering it, I was like, this is not okay. There was all kinds of weird fucking technical shit going on, and there was a weird thing with the framing, like it was not full 185, it was kind of cropped on one side, so the symmetry of the compositions wasn't right, and all kinds of stuff that wouldn't fly by me today. So we were just able to go back and fix all of that. So again, it's been respected in 50 years. It's been proper copy. So yeah, I'm so happy about it. And we actually got to mix the sound. Joe had to do an ADR.
I did an ADR last time. As an additional dialogue recording. This is what you do in every movie. Every movie you shoot, and then about, I don't know, a half year later or something, they bring you into a little studio and you re-record certain lines with sound quality bad. It's part of the process. You do it on every movie. 20 fucking years in, doing ADR is hilarious. You're asking me to sound like a 15-year-old, like a 45-year-old dad. You guys don't know which lines they were. It's not that good at ADR.
So it sounds like it was a fun process. And again, we're very thankful that it's coming back in the version that you want us to have. But we now have a couple of books to give away. We pulled some names. Would you like to read off from the top? We only have 5, but we pulled 4 names.
What are we pulling these names for? Okay, I would rather do it with it. Oh, sorry. Oops. I'd rather do it with like a free for all.
I'm going to charge a joke.
You should get 3 away, and then we'll save 2 for the other 2. Oh, great. Okay. Well, what you should do is we do like a trivia thing.
Okay, we're going to do 2 trivia questions that you each get to ask, and then I'm going to do 3 names. Because we have to turn this off.
Okay,
We're doing 2 trivia
no,
questions.
3.
Fine,
Okay. The way this works is it sucks because the people in the front always win. You just say yell the answer out as loud as you can, and like hopefully you'll win. Okay. So the first question is a repeat of a question that I said earlier. I was talking to Joe about how I've done this. I did this maybe 20 years ago. Mr. Okay, ready? Gordon-Levitt was an independent film before Mysterious Skin that I saw that convinced me he could do this part. Does anyone know the name of this film?
Raise your hand when it was over here. Yeah. Come on over. Come on here.
Wow. All right, that's your turn.
How hard should I make this?
Well, see how intense that was? But like somebody.
Second question. I only have 3. Come on.
Okay. Name the first short film that Brady Corbet got into Sundance.
Oh, I know this one. Nobody knows this one.
That's a really hard question.
I know it. Do I have to know?
No.
If I get the question.
In the meantime, Rachel and Renee.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
He's on the list.
All right, what is the name of the cockroach song in this movie?
Crush.
Crush. One more trivia question and then I'm going to list.
What is the name of the actor?
Sing a Sigur Rós song right now.
What's the name of the Sigur Rós song? Right? Okay, what they both get a vote.
Okay, who are the 2 people? There was one over here. Come on out. Before you all go, you guys, we have a very, very quick turnaround, and you guys are great Vidiots audiences. You're going to take out your trash and your cups with you as you go. You're going to stay seated so I can get our guests out of here because we have to get them into a next screening and turn around the house. You can do that for us? Yes. Go ahead and give them a round of applause.